InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. Today we'll be looking at announcements from Cannabis Growth Corporation, trading on the TSX as WEED and the New York Stock Exchange as CGC. Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, trading on the TSX as ACB and OTCQB as ACBIFF. Liberty Leaf Holdings Limited, trading on the CSE as LIB and the OTCQB as LIBFF. Valens Growworks Corporation, trading on the CSE as VGW, and Livewell Canada Incorporated. But first, today, the Government of Canada welcomed the final vote on Bill C-45, the Cannabis Act, in the Senate as an important step in the process of legalizing and strictly regulating cannabis in Canada. The act is currently awaiting royal assent. 2 years ago, the Government of Canada launched a task force on cannabis legalization and regulation. Following extensive consultation with Canadians, provincial and territorial governments, and Indigenous communities, the task force presented recommendations which have served as a foundation of the government's legislative work. In April of last year, the government introduced Bill C-45 with the goals of keeping cannabis out of the hands of youth and keeping profits out of the hands of criminals and organized crime. The Ministers of Justice, Health and Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness also confirmed that the date of coming into force of the Cannabis Act will be announced shortly. Once the Act comes into force, adults who are 18 or 19 of age or older, depending on the province or territory, will be able to legally purchase, grow, and use a limited quantity of cannabis. Until that time, cannabis remains illegal in Canada unless authorized for medical or scientific purposes. So, looking at Cannabis Growth, who announced today the closing of its previously announced offering of $500 million aggregate principal amount of its 4.25% convertible senior notes due 2023. The initial conversion rate for the notes is 20.757 common shares per thousand principal amount of the notes, equivalent to an initial conversion price of approximately $48.18 per share. The company intends to use the net proceeds from the sale of the notes for supporting expansion initiatives and general corporate purposes, including working capital requirements. Next, we look at Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, who announced today that it intends to distribute units consisting of shares and warrants of its subsidiary Australis Capital Inc. to shareholders of the company by way of a return of capital. The spin-out of Australis will happen in the form of a distribution of units in Australis Capital to resident holders of Aurora shares. Non-resident holders will receive cash instead of units pursuant to the spin-out, priced at about 25 cents per share. Next, we look at Liberty Leaf Holdings Limited, who announced that the company has participated in Blocks Labs Incorporated, recently closed non-brokered private placement financing for gross proceeds of $1,111,650. The company's total participation was for $50,000, comprising of a subscription for 666,000 common shares at 7 cents per share. Blocks is a tech development company focused on creating best-in-class software solutions driven by emerging trends in blockchain, smart contracts, and decentralized applications. The Blocks team is helping consumers with solutions for business problems from proofs of concept through execution, says Will Raskin, President and CEO of Liberty Leaf Holdings Limited. Working with the Blocks team is yet another link in our vision of vertical integration, uniting all the elements of the legal cannabis market, from cultivation to processing, distribution, and selling, and a variety of cannabis products. Next, we look at Valens Growworks Corporation, a multi-licensed vertically integrated provider of cannabis products and services utilizing proprietary extraction processes, who provided an update on subsidiary Valens Farms, state-of-the-art purpose-built 400,000 square foot expandable to 800,000 square foot cannabis cultivation and production facility, which is currently under development. Valens Farms is a $75 million joint venture development of prime acreage with a purpose-built, state-of-the-art European GMP certified cultivation center with the municipality of City of Armstrong. The Phase 1 build-out to 400,000 square feet, printed up to 800,000 square feet. There's zero cash outlay for Valens, with Kosha contributing 100% of the land, building, and equipment costs. All hard assets will be split 50-50 between Kosha and Valens, thereby providing $37.5 million of net assets to Valens' balance sheet with no cash outlay or liability incurred. Valens' current dealer's license and GMP certified facility in Kelowna is leveraged through Valens Farms production, enhancing opportunities to export cannabis products internationally. The initial crop planting at joint venture facilities is expected in the fourth quarter of this year, with Valens and Kosha to split the profits on a 50-50 basis following cost recovery by Kosha. Valens Farm is expecting phase 1 production of up to 56,000 kilograms per year of premium monocrop cannabis, primarily for extraction purposes. Monocropping minimizes grow time, allows greater crop turnover, and is expected to enhance profit margins. The subsidiary Valens Agritech will extract cannabis all produced at Valens Farms for further processing in higher margin Valens branded products for medical as well as expected recreational cannabis markets in Canada and internationally. And finally, we go to Livewell Canada Incorporated, formerly Percy Street Capital Corporation, who announced the completion of its qualifying transaction with Livewell Foods Canada Incorporated, as previously described in its news release dated January 16th, April 17th, and May 31st of this year. Additionally, the TSX Venture Exchange has issued its final exchange bulletin confirming the completion of the QT after yesterday's market close. Accordingly, at the opening on Thursday, June 21st of this year, the company's common shares will commence trading on the TSX Venture as a Tier 2 diversified industries issuer under the symbol LVWL. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded all investment involves risk and possible loss of investment.